Welcome to everybody to our Women in Politics speaker series. This has been, and we were just talking about what a great series this has been, and we've really been enjoying having the women come and talk to us about their personal political stories, how they got here, and where they get inspiration, especially as we're moving through some really choppy waters this political election cycle. But my name is Jacqueline Cozen. I'm executive director of the Connecticut Democratic Party. I think everybody here probably already knows me. I get to work every day with the wonderful Tanaya Baker, who's our operations director, and helping on the administrative side of the party to help these caucuses get up and going and support them and their work. And our chair, Nancy DiNardo, who was the first female chair of the Connecticut Democratic Party. So it's an honor to work with her. And our secretary, Audrey Blondin, who is here, and she's on the phone. So we really do have a great team. And speaking of great team, I'm able to kick it off to two amazing women. One is Kayla Riesco, who is our co-chair of the Women's Caucus, and Aisha Clark, who is helping to lead for the 1st Congressional District. So I will kick it over to you to get started. Thank you.
Thanks, Jacqueline. I'll be very brief. Thank you to everyone for being here this evening. It's always so nice to see faces during a pandemic. And there's so much going on this evening because I realized we have the presidential town halls that are happening. And then there's a couple other things happening. So I know that it's an important time for women to speak up and talk about their backgrounds every day. But I know that there's so much going on in one night. So I'll keep my words brief because we want to hear from our distinguished speaker. I'm Kayla. I'm one of the co-chairs, as Jacqueline said, for the Connecticut Women's Caucus under the Democratic Party. My co-chair isn't able to be here this evening, so we're kicking it, and Tiffany sends her love. Tiffany lives in the 2nd Congressional District. I live in the 1st. And we have representation throughout this caucus of the different congressional districts. So we have the 1st, who Aisha is on, and then we have the other districts that are represented by some pretty badass women. I'll be brief. I just want to thank Maly Council President Rosado for being here. This is obviously personal. Aisha and I both live in Hartford, and the work that not just as an elected official, but as a grassroots organizer that Maly has done to help Latinas get elected in the city of Hartford up and down the ballot is really something that I look up to and something that I wish to see more of. And she definitely is a leader in that respect. I'm a behind the scenes, person that works as a staffer. So I appreciate the work that she did before getting elected as the behind the scenes grassroots organizer on the Democratic Town Committee, her group Inspiring Latinas to Run. She had speaker series similar to this, focusing on Latinas. So that's just a very personal thing I just had to give a shout out to because we need more women of color, both Latina and Black women, to run. And she's helping in that respect in this area. So thank you to Maly, and I'll kick it off to our wonderful president of Board of Education, Aisha Clark, who is also another badass woman in the city of Hartford. And I'm so honored to be able to speak alongside her. So I'll kick it to you, Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Kayla. Appreciate that. So Aisha Clark, as Kayla has talked about, I am the Board of Education of City of Hartford chair. Been in that position for, not the chair position, but been on the board for the past 3 years. I also work for an organization called Compass Youth Collaborative, where I'm the Vice President of Operations. I served as the former secretary for the town committee in the city of Hartford, and I serve on many boards, but it's not about me. Just wanted to give you all a backdrop about that. I have the honor of introducing our council president here in the city of Hartford, Maly Rosado, and just giving a little bit of background. She's on her 2nd term within the city council. So congratulations to you on that. And with that, she obviously is a resident of the city of Hartford and has been a resident for many years, over 30 years, but she's only 31, so don't worry about that. And she loves the city of Hartford, and she's committed to helping those within the city of Hartford. She currently is an employee with the Housing Authority for the city of Hartford. But as Kayla talked about, she consistently serves as a voice for the most disenfranchised members of the community. She provides an opportunity to give a voice and set the standards for that. And I am happy the time that I was on the town committee, I've had many times of talking with Maly about making sure that we have the right people in place to be elected. So thank you for that. And I will turn it over to you, Council President Rosado, to share with us your background and your story and how you got started.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very humble for that introduction. To Kayla, thank you. We couldn't be more blessed in the city of Hartford to have you part of our team. Aisha Clark is doing a fabulous job as our board chair for the Board of Education. And I have the distinct pleasure to work side by side with her husband, our majority leader, Councilman Clark. We make a great team. And to everyone on this panel, and Nancy, thank you for the invitation, for having me here. And what can I say about Jacqueline? There are so many things. I could talk about you for hours. And I would just want to say something very personal, how I met Jacqueline Cozen. So I was first time ever campaigning for Ned Lamont. It's the first time I really got involved, really involved in grassroots in a governor's race. And so we had, you know, the marketing for the English commercials and the Spanish commercials. And so I was working closely with a marketing agency that had the commercials in Spanish. And so we wanted to get out this commercial, and we were waiting on Ned Lamont's team to approve our wording. And so we really wanted to get it out there because we wanted to send a strong message to the Spanish-speaking community. And for some reason, it was a little bit delayed, and I called up Ned, and I said to him, Ned, I really need you to approve this. I really need you to approve this because I really want to talk to the Puerto Rican community. And he was kind of shocked that I was on the phone. And he said, okay. I'm going to put on this amazing woman who's going to take care of it. And you're going to be so happy, and she's going to do it right away. And I said, okay. So that's how I met the fabulous Jacqueline. She listened to me, and she says, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. And so she did. And I think in 3 hours, our commercial was approved. And by that evening, we were out there campaigning, and it was just amazing. So for that, I want to applaud you, because we need more women in politics who actually listen to each other, call back, and get it done.
Yeah. Thank you, Maly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And so a little bit about me, like you guys said, you know, I work for the Hartford Housing Authority at the executive office. And if I could describe my job, it would be dynamic, because every day I get to help someone with their quality of life, and it is fulfilling. I pride myself on being accessible each day. I talk to residents on a daily basis, which really goes with the job that I do with City Council, because I am able to listen to all of their concerns and help them out or navigate them through the system. Sometimes a lot of people get frustrated because during this pandemic, you call 800 numbers and you get the press 1, the press 5, you never get someone. So if I can change someone's life daily, it's the best feeling in the world. And that's what I try to do every day, to listen to everyone, to try to help every human being, and to go to sleep with a clear conscience that I did the right thing. At City Hall, you know, I can't say that it's as easy to navigate, but, you know, I always try to be as efficient as I can. But the fact of the matter is that sometimes it is very challenging. And I see myself a connector in the community. So I was born in Puerto Rico, and when I was 6 years old, my father wanted to give me a better life, and he brought me to upstate New York. And then, you know, we moved back to Puerto Rico, and came back to Hartford, and I've been here since for the past 30 years. I worked for the Travelers for a period of probably, I want to say 15 years, where I really, for the first time, experienced what kind of discrimination was. And this is a story that I like to tell everyone, because I consider my life going backwards. So when I was being raised in upstate New York, from the year of 6 to almost 12 years old, I never experienced racism. And you know, everyone in where I used to live in Syracuse, New York, you know, there were Polish, there were Italians, and I used to stay over their houses, and everyone was so nice. And you would think that in a school setting of over 100 plus children, and myself and my siblings, we were the only brown kids, right? You could pick us out, and we never felt that. And so I wasn't brought up, you know, facing discrimination like a lot of people do. So throughout all this time, I have had to educate myself, you know, why are we where we are right now? So what I'm trying to say is that educating ourselves with prior history is very important to be able to understand what a lot of minorities are going through nowadays. So do you guys have any questions you have for me? I know that I speak a little bit fast, and so I am trying to work on speaking a little bit slower.
That's the Puerto Rican in us, for sure.
I know.
I will go first, or Aisha, do you want to go first, and then I'll do.
I think Kayla muted herself. So I'll go ahead and start off. Thank you for that story. And so one of the questions that we have for you is share a story when during your political career, being a woman, is that made you feel like an outsider, excuse me.
Sometimes, you know, being an outsider, you know, it's a good thing, because you're able to walk into rooms where you can have a conversation at that table and represent your community, represent what you care about. So, you know, I like those challenges of being an outsider.
Thank you. So my next question is, how does being a woman actually help you get what you need done?
Well, nothing against my colleagues. My colleague males. I've been a single mom, and let me tell you that being a single mom, and those single moms out there, we know how to get it done. Many of the colleagues that people value and their elected officials, I have become, being a single mom really helped me develop those skills in order to get done what I needed to do, to be more outspoken, you know, to fight for the things that I care about. So those are, you know, a lot of things within that have helped me actually get a lot of things done.
Thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Who or what inspires you in the work that you do, particularly at a time when the tone of politics, as we know, can be diverse and raw?
What I have to say about that is that some people play politics in this country and put their own personal goals ahead of the people that elect them. Every day I clock in and I remind myself why I do what I do, and it's for the Hartford families.
Thank you. Next question is, in your experience, how do women tend to lead differently?
That's an interesting question. I think I'm pretty blessed to work with the people that I work with. All of them have different experiences and different opinions about how things should be done. But at the end of the day, we all come together to make it happen. If I had to give one answer, I might say that we are more collaborative.
Thanks.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious, Maly, because you've done so much in terms of activism and, you know, elevating other women. And I remember we were having a conversation where we were at First and Last, and, you know, I I think I asked you, or like, why don't you run? Like, you are like what Hartford needs. And I guess what pushed you to run? Like where and what was in your head, and like what, and you know, women are hesitant to run for office. They have to be asked, I think the average is 7 times to run. And I mean, I'm just so happy that you did. But like what was your process like to get there? Because it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
It is a challenge. So I, by the time I was 16, I said to myself, I wanted to become a lawyer. And then, so a lot of personal issues came up. And I say this publicly, my father went to prison for 30 years in the federal system. I never thought that he would be released from prison. So from the age of 16, it was my goal to always bring my father home because I really didn't want him to die in prison. And so I guess one of a lot of the things that motivated me was, you know, living a perfect life, losing it all, coming to Hartford. And financially, my father had the money, but he didn't have any credit. And when we would go to the South End to have to rent, you know, beautiful homes that were for rented, they would say to us, no, it's been rented already. And I remember I was 16. And so I would pass by again with my parents a month later and the house would still be for rent. So, you know, I got the point, right? They didn't want to rent to this Hispanic family. So we got tired of living with some family members, and the only people in Hartford that would rent to us was Rosado on Park Street. And so my mom got Section 8 from that unit. And so it was a lot of personal things that I had been through that I wanted to help other women who were going through it. And because it happened to me, I knew what it felt like. And so those are the things that I try to remind myself every day. And then, you know, I had someone come to me and say, you know, you should really get involved in politics. You care about people. You have a lot of patience. You can talk to 10 or 15 people a day, and you treat your first customer like your last customer. And so I said, okay. And so the next day they were there and they signed me up for town committee. And I always believe, and this is what I tell everyone, you know, every woman, you know, some people I know, and I'll talk about women, you know, they come to me and they're like, oh my God, I want to be you. How do you do it? And I say to myself, you don't want to be me. You know, it takes a lot of energy, but you know, they want to become state reps. And I tell them, no, you have to start off, you know, in town committee. And it's best if you work your way up the ladder because you develop all that experience. It's very important in the political world to build relationships. And the first thing I tell them, my number one lesson is your word is your bond. Do not commit. I didn't understand what that was. And let me tell you, a lot of people explained it to me. I found that out very hard. Because I committed one time to someone, not knowing everyone that was in the ring. And then I happened to like, you know, other opinions, but because I had given my word, I had to stick to that. So that's an example that I give out a lot. But yeah, I think that for women, the sky is the limit. I met a woman, may she rest in peace, and she was very successful. And she, you know, was raised from poor and she was very wealthy. And she used to bring her old antique cars to my husband to have them fixed. And I used to always say, you know, how do you do it? How did you get there? For every person that I've found in my life, whether they're very wealthy millionaires, I always want to know their story. And she said to me, she said, after 4 years of me asking, she said, it's the secret. And I looked at her. I said, you have a secret? What's your secret? And she said, no. And she went to her car and she brought me this book. I want to say maybe 13 years ago. That's called The Secret. I read that book every week. I have the book. I have the CD. I put it in my car because we need to pump ourselves up. And that does it. And what it is a state of mind. If you think you could do it, you will do it. And so here I am after I had that, conversation with you. I've been really trying to talk to as many women as I can. I love it when a group of women get together, because I used to find myself in my 20s that whether I had an issue or a problem at work, at home, with my partner, it was overwhelming. And I thought that I was the only one going through those problems. But when a group of women get together and you start talking about things, it doesn't matter if, whoever you are, attorneys, lawyers, police officers, we're all human beings. And in these settings of women, if one opens up, everybody opens up. And let me tell you, it's a breathtaking, because we all have challenges in life. We all go through issues, but we must come together, support each other. And you know what? I love this group here, and I have an advisor. Her name is Yolanda Castillo. I find Jacqueline Kozan to be one of the most supportive women in politics in Hartford. I had a fundraiser. She was there. She called me up. How are you doing? I could call her for anything. She always picks up the phone. She always calls you back. So that is very important, to support each other.
Thank you so much. And that actually dovetailed to the question that I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And so you stated like one of the best things that you've learned in your experience in politics or even in work is to build relationships. And then also you talked about the book, The Secret. I love The Secret. I've actually watched the video, the video on Netflix as well. So it's a great book. I recommend that to anyone. But outside of those two things, are there any additional advices that you would give to women who are looking to get involved in politics, whether it's running like yourself, being in your position, or just being on town committee? What are some of the things that you would recommend, steps and or advice that you would give them?
Well, and thank you. That's a great question. I think that there are a lot of women who love politics, but choose not to be in office. We have one right here, Kayla. And they're amazing, because without them, it's a team that you have to build. And so what I tell women is, if you see yourself where you love talking to people, and, you want to see some changes in your community, and, you want to get involved politically, reach out to any of us. Get involved. I am thinking really on council, and it's a conversation that I have pending with Councilman Clark, that this pandemic, changed a lot of our plans, is to come up with some sort of apprentice where we could have young women and men in high schools that would love to come into council and do some work for us, and take them to meetings and kind of walk them around, the ropes, so that they understand the process. And so, that's what I tell everyone. Yeah, I'm always available. When I ran with my campaign, my number that I've had for 25 years is the one that I used. So, take a chance. I've always said that it's better to do it than to always think what have been of it. Do it. If you don't think it's for you, then it's not. But if it is, then it would be something great. It's beautiful to serve others. It really is.
Thank you, Council President. So the next question we have, and it's actually closing, what advice would you have for women who want to take a political path but are not sure how to do it? I know you talked a little bit about starting locally with your town committees, and then working your way just to create a network. But is there any advice, whether it's personal advice or professional advice, that you would give women as they look into either being a staffer or running for office, either or?
Well, I mean, and like I said again, if if you wanna get involved, there's, there's the town committees. I'm pretty sure that you have had some politician, knock on your door. The advice that I give to everyone is try. We need more women. We need more minority women at the table. Hartford is I believe 80% minority, and we need that representation, and we need to get out there. And if not, just try being part of a grassroots. We really, and for this election, we really need to send out a strong message. We need to be counted. And actually on Saturday, where the Hispanic Caucus is having a meeting on how to get the vote out. And, we need to knock on doors. We need to make the phone calls. And that's a nice way to start,
And if I could just follow up on that, I had a conversation with Miguel Castro about starting a Spanish language texting program, so that we can have Spanish speakers connect via text. So that's something we're hoping we'll do in the next week or so.
Wonderful.
So he may talk a little bit more about that on Saturday. So anyway.
It's very important that we get involved, and that we speak up, and that we're part of the process, and that we are at the table. And so, I had a lot of plans pre-COVID, but you know what? It's never too late, and tomorrow's another day.
So thank you so much. You've given us so much information and knowledge. And I know Kayla said we had that question. We had some questions pre-scripted just so we can make sure that we understood everything that you've been doing in your career and trajectory. One of the questions that I do want to add to that is there one thing that you've learned through your process of politics, whether it's starting from the beginning with your conversation of why don't you run, or your experience on town committee or council and council president, one thing that you've learned, whether it's something great or a challenge that you've learned that you would share so that one of us could eventually not do it or could step into doing it?
Well, I have to tell you that, and I'll speak as council president, it's a very rewarding but challenging job. When we take on votes, there are 9 council members, and so you have to have that dynamic to be able to put a vote together in order to pass a resolution. And those are very challenging. It could be challenging sometimes if you're not there, with what you believe the resolution is doing or not. And so, that it takes a lot of communication. I respect. And so what I tell every woman is that if you want to get involved, if you want to make a difference, if something personally affects you and you see that there is no change, get involved, speak up. If you don't speak up, people are not going to listen. And I've always said to someone, if you live in a street, and let's talk about the famous speed bumps, and 2 people go to City Hall or 2 people speak up on that speed bump, they might listen. But if you have 3/4 of the street or the entire street, in the numbers is the power, ladies. And so coming together, uniting, and I have to say, women get it done. And if my goal is in, this coming up future elections is to really go out there, knock on doors, get everyone involved, and have a conversation with the community as to why it's so important. We live in such a fast-paced life that people are just trying to make ends meet, and they don't have time to be listening to a politician. But when you have a serious conversation and you listen to them and you hear their concerns and you deliver on what you say you're passionate about, that is fulfilling. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions that they would like to ask? If it's okay, if I can ask another question.
Sure.
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about just, being council president and like just the role and Hartford Common Council, like how all that works in terms of, I know it's really bad. I live in Hartford and I'm executive director of the Connecticut Democratic Party, but I don't know exactly Hartford politics so well, and I know all the people that are in it, but just in terms of legislation and opportunities to get involved and stuff like that. But
absolutely. So as you all know, I became council president in January, and we have various districts in the city of Hartford, and the south end of Hartford, which is where I live, we have 3 Hispanic state reps. And so the process of, I would like to see us working more together in order to unite our community, in order to get the vote out. Like, I would like to put a process where the legislation can speak, to the city council at least every other month, so that we can work on our same goals. Because at the end of the day, it are the state reps that pass our legislation, right? We're in the municipality. But it is very, very challenging because at the municipal level is 9 council members. I believe there's 136 state reps, is somewhere around there.
101.
Yeah, so to get a resolution passed through 9 members, it could be a little bit challenging. Imagine at a state level. But I enjoy my job every day. I have a phenomenal party chair, that's Mark Davella, who's very supportive. I can pick up the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning, at 10 o'clock he will answer any questions that I have. Very supportive from the first day I started politics. And then I can't say enough about our mayor, Luke Bronin, that for the record, when he was running, I had committed to Pedro, and my community held me up to voting for Pedro. And I remember he visited me once, of course, doing the mayor thing to try to get the vote. And he said, you know what, you might not be on my team right now, but I can tell you that we're going to do great things together. And I'm going to show you that I don't hold a grudge. And I turned around and I said, oh my God, I am so screwed if Pedro doesn't win. But you know what? He proved me wrong. I love our mayor. He cares about the city. He fights hard every day. We have a great working relationship. So when you have an administration and a council that cares so much about the city and move the agenda forward, let me tell you something. It is a beautiful thing. Compared to other municipalities, that I hear other things. So that makes my job a lot easier when I'm able to call our mayor at any time, 10 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and sit down and let's talk about this problem and let's move it forward, and it gets done.
Any other questions?
Hi, my name is Kelly Kirkley. I don't have a question, more or less a statement. I am the spokesperson for the First District Town Committee. I've known Maly Rosado for quite some long time, and I just wanted to give a shout out and say she's doing a very great job. She fights for our city on a daily basis. Sometimes at night she cracks me up because in the next day she'll call me up and she says, I didn't sleep last night because, I was thinking about this and that. So people just really need to understand, as a council president, it's just not just a 9 to 5. Us in politics, we live this, we breathe this. And Maly, she tries to fight for the whole entire city of Hartford. So I just want, people to understand that at that level and at that position, I'm in Matt Ritter's district, who's about to be the next Speaker of the House. I worked at the state capitol for 22 years. So when I tell you, when you're in leadership, and I was in leadership for 15 of those, it's a difficult position, and you're up all the time, morning, noon, and night, trying to figure out the next day, especially when you got to balance a budget. Then you have to figure out, the constituency issues and all that stuff. It's a very tough life. It's very, jarring on people and daunting, and especially, you know, you have to have the family that will support you through this. So I was listening to Maly talking about girl support, but you also have to have family support as well. So I just want to give a shout out to Maly and say congratulations, job well done, and just, you know, letting other people know just how it is, you know, just to be a female politician.
Thank you for those words, Kelly. Thank you very much. So yes, I mean, you know, I tell every girl that I meet, or young woman, do not allow anyone to tell you that there's nothing that you can do, because you can. We all can. No does not exist in my world. We might have some good days and we might have some not so good days, but there's always tomorrow. And there's always someone out there that is willing to help you, even though if you're at a point in your life where you think that there isn't, there is always someone out there to help you.
Very good point.
Yeah. And so we're living in a pandemic, you know, where a lot of things are going on. And like Kelly said, there are a lot of things that keep me up at night. You know, the courts are closed and eventually they will open. A lot of people right now have no food. And a shout out to Kelly for providing the meals. She works very diligently and we have a great working relationship in the community. And you know, those are things that keep me up at night. Will families have oil, you know, in the wintertime to heat? And so, you know, there's a lot that is going on right now that we need to be very mindful. So, you know, I remember one time my parents were going through a situation and there was only one cereal box. And I would worry as a child that my parents would worry about me. And so, you know, I'm going to put in a call to Aisha to talk about some things that concern me with the children. And so, you know, I just want everyone to be mindful that if you see someone or you see a woman and sometimes, you know, she might be in a bad mood and we will be there. Like I always say, right behavior breeds behavior. So I always tell every woman, be mindful that maybe that is not her attitude or that's not who she is. Maybe she's going through some things. So we need to understand a little bit more of why maybe somebody is going through something. But, you know, if you see a woman out there and she's, you know, ask her, do you need something? Do you need help? Do you want to talk about anything? Your neighbor. Sometimes a lot of people hold things in and we have so many tragedies. And just by asking a person, how are you, or if I can help, makes a big difference in anyone's life.
Thank you so much for that, Maly. That's important. And that's actually a good way to segue to over to Jacqueline as it relates to what are other things that women can do to get involved.
So the Women's Caucus is one way, helping coordinate events like this. We hope to do more trainings and also supporting of other women that are running for office. There are like a huge number of women that are running for the legislature this year. And we have a listing of those. I don't know, Tanaya, if you could put the link in the box, or we can email it to everybody after this call. That may be easier for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. So we'll follow up with an email, but there is a lot of women running across the state this election cycle, and some that are in some pretty big races. We have April Capone in the 34th Senate District, that's Len Fasano's seat, which used to be, he's the minority leader who decided not to run anymore, run again, excuse me. And that's a tough race, but you know, she could do it, but literally every vote is gonna count. Lisa Thomas in the 35th Senate District, she's been on the doors and knocking like a fierce warrior since like July. So there are a lot of races that could use help. We're also doing texting programs as well, like all across the state. which is actually kind of fun and easy to do. You just do it at home and basically click your mouse multiple times to send texts to people, and you can have conversations with voters about different races. That's what we have going on right now. But the Women's Caucus, if you're interested in getting involved and being a part of that and being a part of leadership, we'd love to have you. I know Kayla and Tiffany have a lot of exciting plans for the caucus that will be, after the election, which I can't wait for that. 19 days. It feels like forever. It's so close, but so far. And hopefully we have a decisive win for our president on November 3rd. And then we will probably pick back up with this series and other Women's Caucus events. We're also working on bringing together a Black caucus and an LGBTQIA caucus as well. Those are launching in the next, well, hopefully very near future. And we're working with the Hispanic Democratic Caucus. We didn't think we should reinvent the wheel there. So as they have a really good team and operation going, so we are working on building a partnership with them, and hopefully we can, doing this Spanish speaking texting program will be our first go at that. I'm excited about that. And Yolanda Castillo, I love her. She's pretty amazing, Manchester. So that's like all the good stuff that we've got going up, and really in the next 18 days, we really could use all the help that we can get. So we will, follow up with an email about how you can get involved, and links to sign up for different things. They are doing Biden-Harris phone banks on Tuesdays and Thursdays into swing states, trying to help with those with that race, but in those states as well. So there's a lot, and it all needs help. So hope you can join us for some of that. And my last question was, I'm just looking at The Secret book, and is it The Secret or The Secret Daily Teachings?
The Secret.
Just The Secret. Okay, sorry.
Secret. Imagining where you could be and setting your mind to that.
All
It
right.
works.
All right, I'm buying it right now. I'm on Amazon. Sorry.
I'll add
And
to
after
that.
you get the book, you'll get the CD.
Okay.
I was going to say,
It's what comes up every day.
Yeah, it's a great book. The other one is actually just pullouts from the book. So I would start off with the book, and then you can get the other one. It's just pullouts from the book.
Okay. I'm very excited. And it's on Netflix? They have it on Netflix too?
Yes. Yes, they do.
I was looking
I'm
for
very
some
excited about you speaking with Miguel Castro on getting the Spanish marketing out.
Yeah.
Because I've talked to a lot of people who want to vote, but they don't get all of the Spanish speaking material like they should. So
Yeah, and that's I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the party did before. I don't know if they did something like that, but it's just, we realized, we're not talking to these voters. And I said it before, and, and just being on campaigns, it's around election time, you start having these conversations with people, and then it falls off. And then you come around election time and you have those conversations again. And it's like, and that's why with the caucuses is really why we're trying to develop those to continue the relationship and outreach that goes on. Because it's, it's kind of silly to not have these voices at the table, especially when it comes to party leadership and party activity. They need to hear from, the communities that we represent. So I'm hoping that, we can keep this going and build it, and, just doing the outreach, because it's, it's kind of like dating. I mean, you only call, never mind, I gotta figure out but
Jacqueline, I was gonna say that's the "you up" text, except "you up" is "are you voting?"
Yes, but it's like, you gotta call me when you just want to, know how I'm doing. So don't want something from me. So
It's true. It's
Sorry,
true.
I
But
gotta
you've done an amazing job, and I am just, it's beautiful being on here. It's
Yeah,
very.
no, this is wonderful. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I mean, I think people could see why you are such a leader, and your courage, and you're just brave, and you are who you are. You keep it real, and that's so refreshing today. It's not
Thank
about,
you.
it's about getting the job, and you hustle, you work your ass off for the people, and it's so appreciated. So
Thank
yeah, no, I know when anybody mentions your name, I always say, I love Maly.
Thank you.
No, yeah, thank you so much
I love
for
you too. So.
time, for being here. So
And to close out, I wore this t-shirt for today because we have a phenomenally Latina speaking. So just wanted to share my t-shirt. Thanks, Maly.
it's awesome.
You're welcome. And I also wanted to say, ladies, that if you have not watched on Netflix all the stories on our beautiful RBG, please watch them. They're so inspiring. This woman, I watched, I binge watched everything that Netflix has on her, but you know, what an amazing woman, and what a loss we have in the Supreme Court. And it's going to be very hard to fill those shoes. A woman that fought for women's rights, equality, for us to be here today. And that's what I tell a lot of women when I talk to them. Do you know what women went through in order for us to vote for me to be council president, for Harris to be running for BP? They sacrificed a lot. So the least we could do is go out and vote. And I don't tell any woman who to vote for. I respect if you're a Republican, if you're an independent, but exercise your right to vote. Be mindful about what these women did for us in order for us to be here today.